There were days when I would lay on the couch and look at the ceiling and think, this is what I'm going to do today. And know intellectually, maybe even emotionally, that that wasn't normal, which I hate that word, but that something wasn't right, that that's not who I was. And it also felt uncomfortable because I didn't want to live the rest of my life that way. But some days I couldn't get off the couch to do anything about it. I'm not leaving my apartment for 3 days. And for somebody who's living with depression, that's not necessarily the healthiest way to live. So I decided that I would do a project that would ensure that I left my house each and every day. Hey, excuse me. Can I ask you a question? My name's Colin. I'm a writer. Hi.
Yeah.
I'm working on a project called the Stranger Project. I've been doing it every day for over a year. I started January 1st last year. Today's day 355. And what I'm doing is I'm going out every day this year, meeting a stranger, finding out something about that person's story, and then writing about it. And I wondered if you would be willing to give me like 5 or 10 minutes to chat. Would you be willing to chat with me for a few minutes? Would you be interested and willing to chat with me for a few minutes? Would you be willing to talk to me for a few minutes?
Sure.
Oh, okay. What's your name?
Richard.
Hey, Richard. Nice to meet you. My name's Colin Easton. I'm 52 years old, and I've gone out and talked to a stranger every day for a year, and then some. So the Stranger Project was literally me going out every day for a year, January 1st to December 31st, 2014, meeting a stranger, finding out about that person, writing about it every day, posting it on social media every day, 365 days. Going to go and see if Tom is at his usual spot. He's pretty much a creature of habit. He likes to go and have his smocha and his mocha and sits at the same bench all the time. That's where I first met him, and so hopefully he'll be there. This is usually about the time that he gets there. I spotted Tom on day 10, yeah. He really helped me formulate what the Stranger Project is. I can tell that he's been here because of this paper and these cigarette butts, so I'm hoping he hasn't come and gone. And that was the first time that I kind of pushed myself outside of my comfort zone in terms of, I walked right past him. I wasn't sure if he would talk to me. That was my kind of initial thought, but I stopped myself and thought, no, you know, you're going out to meet strangers. Don't judge or predetermine what the conversation is going to be. So I went back and asked him if he would talk to me, and he said, yeah, that he had an incredible story.
The story starts with me getting early retirement. That's set up really nicely.
Yeah, totally.
For my retirement. So I'm happy, living on a beach. And then all of a sudden I start falling down and getting dizzy, and why? And one time I fell down in public. Next thing I know, I'm on an airplane headed for VGH.
Holy shit.
And so it was quite a shock to me.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so.
I'm embarrassed when I think about what I first thought about Tom in terms of the first impression, like the first visual impression, which I no longer do anymore. I might have a thought about what the person's story is, and I'm so willing to have it be something completely different, and it usually always is. Did you think something was wrong in terms of falling down?
Yeah, I knew there was something wrong.
Right.
But, yeah. I told him I wanted it straightened for you. Give it to me. And he told me, he says, in this grade 4 brain cancer, Mr. Anderson, it's about a 5% chance. I mean, when you come close to the other side, you are really just happy to be alive for another day and look at it that way and be happy.
Thanks, Tom. Tom's story really helped me get out of my own head. It made me think more about somebody else rather than myself. It was about 5 years ago when I really first got into Twitter. I realized that the more I got involved in social media, the less I was connecting with people. Really to the point, almost like obsessed with. It was like an escape card in terms of like my real life connections, because rather than thinking I was boring and not having a life. I was coming home and felt like I was connecting with people. I was completely distancing myself and detaching myself from my own real world. And so I went to my doctor, and it was at that point, after all of this testing, that I was diagnosed with major clinical depression. I railed against that. I think that if the Stranger Project hadn't kind of blown up in the way that it has, I don't know if I would have completed it, to be perfectly honest, if I was just doing it for myself.
I'm Jessica Garris, filling in for John McComb this Monday morning.
Throughout the course of the year, I've had a fair amount of attention, and I think it's because it's a human interest story. I think that people are interested genuinely in other people's stories. They're just not so willing to find them out for themselves.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Would you be willing to chat with me for a few minutes? Let me take my glove off.
When I wrote the stories of the strangers, there was very little about me in the story. It was entirely focused on the stranger. So I see that your foot's in a cast. What happened?
I dropped off 30 feet off a fire escape and shattered my heel.
Okay. Is there a story about why you were 30 feet up a fire escape?
We're not going to get into all that.
Okay.
Let's just say it involves drinking and women.
Right. Oh, okay. And now you've got the cast to kind of keep it...
Yeah, reminder.
Right.
Don't do that again.
Guatemala sort of refocused me on local issues at
Right.
the same time as opening my eyes to other ones. So I think that's why I went to law school.
I was sort of a physics nerd.
Oh, okay.
You know,
So a
sort of the
science
chess
geek?
club, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Projectionist club, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so-
And there's a moment that happens, be it 2 minutes into the conversation, about 4 minutes is usually about the longest that it happens, where I see a softening happen. And there's a physical change in the face where they become less guarded, their body language, their shoulders relax, they kind of slip back into the chair, and they'll turn and they'll look at me and they'll make eye contact, and it becomes, rather than it starting off or moving from it being like an interview to it being two people having a conversation.
My father had Parkinson's disease,
Okay.
and it was a progressive disease.
Right.
And so my mother was supporting us at that point. And
Right.
so that was the reason
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
move
for
into
sure.
Yeah.
And I sort of had this like epiphany one day that a stranger walking past me had a childhood just like me and went through similar experiences. It's kind of crazy when you think about everyone had the same. I guess that's why you're doing it.
Exactly, yeah, no, this is like the definition of why I am. I think I'm pretty good at getting people's stories. I'm good at diving in. I'm good at asking those awkward questions. So can I ask you a question? And it's just out of curiosity. I make no judgment, but I just want to be able to say that I asked. Would you say you're an alcoholic?
I mean, I drink.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I drink.
But you're functioning, like you're not...
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You hit the nail on the head. I'm a functional alcoholic.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. I'm a sober alcoholic myself, so I do understand that. I have almost 16 years, but that's because I wasn't functioning, so...
I don't drink when I'm working. When I'm not working, I'm probably usually drinking.
Right, oh, okay.
I don't work.
See, everyone's a good one. Awesome.
Other than I look like I'm freezing my butt off, but
No, you
that's
don't.
all right.
Well, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking with you.
No problem.
At the end of most conversations, either when I'm shaking their hand or when I'm getting up and saying goodbye, kind of the most frequent thing that I hear will be from people, "Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that."
No, it was
No?
Colin. It was a pleasure
Thanks,
talking to you.
Richard. I really
I'd like to
appreciate
know
it.
more about you. I'll take a look at your Facebook.
Yeah, do,
and,
please. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Richard, thank you so very much for your time. I
Okay,
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. Right from the get-go, actually, really, probably, I think it was about the 4th day that I recognized that something was switching. It's still true for me today that I have to work through depression. And that's why I'm living with depression. I'm working through. I'm not struggling with or dealing with or fighting. It's something that I've accepted that I'm going to be living with. Excellent. Thanks very much. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye. When I get home, always I feel better because I've made that connection. I always feel that little bit taller, that little bit lighter, that little bit more satisfied that I've made a connection. We're driving to the park to have a picnic with a group of people who have been supportive of the Stranger Project. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to seeing people. It's kind of cool because when I'm walking down the street from like where I live and I see people in my community who I know that I can kind of, you know, say hello to and stop and have a conversation with. You know, the stereotypical kind of thing that you might see in a movie where somebody lives in a friendly neighborhood and they say hello to people all the time. And that's actually kind of what has manifested out of the Stranger Project. It's a really cool and most unexpected bonus to meeting strangers. They're not strangers anymore.
You know what I mean? It's all about community and getting involved.
I saw this absolutely impish looking man with the brightest eyes I'd ever seen wander over to me, and I was going, oh, this is going to be... No, he went over and he said, hi, my name's Colin Easton, and I'm doing this. And I went, the Stranger Project. I've been following you since day 2. It's funny. My life changed. My life really changed. The framing of my life changed when you interviewed me. The Stranger Project is so important, it's such important work because, I mean, I'm going to get all metaphysical. There are no strangers. All it is a world where we don't know each other's stories. You've tapped into something that is so powerful. And the more that we find that we're not strangers, the less of the shit happens in the world because we're all people. Thank you.
Thank you. Such a gift. I really appreciate your words and your friendship and your energy.
God, I love you.
Thank you very much. I love you too.
Okay.
Let's eat. Let's eat. On that, let's have some potato salad. I think I've been one of the biggest challenges in my life, getting over myself, getting over my own stigma, accepting that it's okay to have mental health issues, accepting that it's okay to be an alcoholic, accepting that it's okay to be gay, which was never an issue for me, but to be different. I think that acceptance helps make me stronger, and that strength is what has helped me through all of the challenges that I've had. If I hadn't risen to the challenge of depression, I would either be a very angry, upset, bitter retail clerk and just existed, or I would be catatonic on my couch, looking at the ceiling still, wondering when the world was going to change. But instead, I got up off that couch and made my world change.
Don't be a stranger.